When you look at the CAFO data, did you have an opportunity to look at the swine operations and what antibiotics or what types of sales of antibiotics for agricultural use were in effect in that area?
Okay, so I showed you some of those data. The other thing we did as part of that study is we prospectively collected about 200 isolates, and they're now being genetically typed. But in my world, there's two ways to get research done at low cost, with a doctoral student or with a grant. So if you want to do low-cost research, you do as much as you can with a doctoral student. So this project, we did not go to farms. We probably will write a grant to do that in the future. I think it's a very important question. I want to look at isolates that are coming off the farm to see if the isolates from the farms are the same as the isolates in the people. There's a lot of additional stuff we could do, but that research was all done with basically very little money, so not yet.
Veterinary clinics would also be maybe an area that would consolidate some of that information?
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Rebecca French. I'm a AAAS fellow at the EPA Office of Research and Development. And I had a question about whether you've tried to integrate your data sets with those collected on Pennsylvania, because you're working on coal mines and CAFOs, on data collected on streams and water quality, so data sets from USGS or those from EPA that have looked at those kind of metal contaminations coming off of coal mines, et cetera, and what kind of challenges you've had if you've attempted to do that.
So in the thesis research of Ann Liu, Ann got a database called RAMLIS, the Reclaimed Abandoned Mineland Information System database, all geocoded data on where the structures are, where the mines are, where the flooded strip mines are, where the high walls are, where the open shafts are, and also where all the AMD affected streams are. And then she used GIS to create 10 different metrics of the burden of abandoned coal mines in communities and looked at that in relation to hemoglobin A1C levels at one point in time and over time. So that's what she did. There are other data sources you could use, but that's the one we've used so far.
Bill Farland, Colorado State. Thanks. Very nice talk. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your perspectives on the future of the electronic medical records and the vision that there might be a way to connect metadata to those, in other areas, to those medical records.
So I'm going to talk a bit more about those issues this afternoon. But right now, if any of you wanted to do research with electronic health record data, you could probably find somebody at one of the HMO Research Network members. They all have research enterprises. You'd have to go through a lot of development to sort of do the stuff that I did, and then some of them would let you have the data at your own institution, and some of them would not. I'm so worried about data breaches that I have these data in a very secure place at Johns Hopkins, and it keeps me up at night. These are protected health information. You don't, and there's all sorts of identifiers in them, so you don't want to have a data breach. If I wanted to do studies with 2 HMO RN members right now, I could probably solve those problems. What is the future? My understanding was that Microsoft and Google, and maybe Stephen knows a bit more about this, so electronic health record data are basically system by system. And when you leave that system, there's no good way of transferring your data with you. And so what Google and Microsoft had talked about was what was called the personalized health record, where all your healthcare data would be kept up in the cloud, and that would facilitate the transfer of those data if you left the health system, and also would facilitate all the kind of stuff that we want to do. I thought they gave up on that enterprise.
Yeah. Microsoft has, and I think Google is about to.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of challenges that have to be overcome. Now at Geisinger, they give every of their patients the opportunity to opt out of all research. If they don't opt out of all research, then the implication is we can use their data for research. But every time I want to ask a question of their EHR data, I have to get IRB approval for it.
Oh,
Hello, Devin Payne Sturgis, US EPA National Center for Environmental Research. Hi, Dr. Schwartz. Thank you so much for your presentation. Just a follow-up on the previous question. I was wondering if you could comment on the future of opportunities for this kind of work as a result of the Affordable Care Act. I mean, my understanding is that with that, we should be moving more towards more people, information being captured in these electronic health records.
And actually, can I team up with your question? Because that's sort of a really close. No. So see if this helps. Is that, as I understand it, and this is from links with people at the White House, I think we've asked whether if you go to a hospital and say, I want all the digital information that you have collected on me this year or by next year, I think that data has to be given back to the patient. So the question linked to, I think the question you asked is, could they go to you now that you've put this data? Instead of going to Geisinger, could they go to you? And I really like what you're doing in the way that doesn't require this. I don't want to have this at all infer that actually the way you're doing it now, I think, which is really works well, is not the way to do it. But at what point do you think citizens might help you fill in things, and could they get to that data that you have on them?
Okay, so just imagine the Amazon rainforest. There's a lot of greenery, a lot of thickets, and I'm a guy with a machete, and I'm trying to slash my way through this set of obstacles to where we're trying to go. That's what life is like right now. There's no systematic effort. It's individual researchers trying to solve the myriad of problems to get the data sets that they want. I'm going to tell you this afternoon about some higher level efforts to sort of do this collectively that I think are in their infancy, really. And what was funded, I think, in what is called the NIH Collaboratory was different than what the HMO-RN members initially had been talking about. But I mean, I do think the future of a lot of our work is going to be with these big data sets. And I think that it's our job as we're here limping along and making our way through the thicket to solve these problems systematically as we go forward. And lots of progress is being made. But I can tell you that it took a lot of effort for me to start doing research at Geisinger, and if I wanted to start doing a 2-site study, it would take a lot of effort for me to partner with another site to have all those data agreements, and if I wanted to get all 20 million people in a study, it's not 20 times the effort. It's probably a quadratic or cubic function.
Okay, so I think we'll take a break. Thank you to both of the speakers for this morning's talk. And yeah, we'll have a pretty quick break, about 10 minutes. There's coffee out in the hall, and then if we could reconvene so we don't get too far behind. Thank you.